Coming up on today's show, 2018 Nissan Leaf specs and pricing get accidentally leaked online, Tesla raises $1.5 billion by selling senior notes, and Mercedes gets well and truly schooled on social media. These stories and more coming next on 10. Like all our content, today's show is funded by the in-stream ads on today's video and by the kind donations of viewers like you. Follow the link at the end of today's video to make a monthly donation to our Patreon crowdfunding campaign to help keep us independent and impartial. And if you're already donating, thanks for your continued support. It's Friday, August 11th, 2017. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and after years of being told to get on my bike, I have. Meet Doris, my new daily driver, which of course is a lot cleaner and greener than even our staff EVs. She's also a lot older, although I'm not entirely sure how old. If you can help date her though, leave a comment below. With the official unveiling of the 2018 Nissan Leaf just a few weeks away, we've seen a pretty constant stream of spy shots of late. And now, thanks to a boo-boo by internet site AutoBuyTel, we've got some details on expected specifications too. If these leaked specs, now removed, are to be believed, Nissan's next-gen Leaf will start at a hair under $30,000 for the entry-level S variant and come with a 110 kilowatt motor and 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. Range hasn't been revealed, but expect around 160 miles, 260 Ks real world, I guess, which puts the new Leaf below Bolt EV and Model 3 in terms of range. But even with the high-end Leaf, complete with optional Pro Pilot, coming in at under $37,000 before incentives, it looks like Nissan is going after affordability rather than range. And given how much of the entry-level Leaf undercuts the Bolt EV and Model 3, I think this is going to be an interesting fight indeed. Fresh from its official Model 3 launch, Tesla has been busy with financial types in New York this week, raising some of the $2 billion it estimates it needs to have enough cash to both continue developing new products and ramp up Model 3 production as quickly as possible. The largest chunk of this cash injection is coming from the sale of $1.5 billion worth of senior notes, which are essentially bonds that allow Tesla to exchange some of its debt for cash, with the promise that investors will see their money plus interest at some point in the future. According to different sources, Tesla raised more than $600 million of that $1.5 billion in short order, with the rest of those senior notes expected to sell just as quickly. And of course, if Tesla can bring those Model 3s to market ASAP, I'm guessing it will be looking to repay those investors sooner rather than later. If you're an electric car owner, you may, like me, occasionally but reluctantly rent an internal combustion engine car for longer distance trips, if you don't own a Tesla, that is. And you probably also look for electric car rentals when you're away from home on vacation or business. Some rental places do offer plug-in cars to customers, although according to Car and Driver, Hertz and Enterprise are both looking to drop the majority of EVs on their fleets because their customers just don't want to rent them. The reason? Range anxiety, worry about refueling, and I'm guessing a lack of knowledge about plug-in cars. But I'm going to have to disagree. My local Enterprise has a Tesla Model S available, but it's more than $200 a day, which is well out of the price range for most people wanting to rent. My advice? Bring some plug-in hybrids onto your fleet, show customers how to charge, and make use of refueling cards, part of the experience, and you'll be surprised what happens. We might be about to see the launch of the new Nissan Leaf, but if you're in San Diego and in the market for a new car, you could nab the older outgoing model, or a BMW i3, with $20,000 less than list price. How? An incentive scheme from San Diego Gas and Electric, which will help you buy a brand new Nissan Leaf or BMW i3 at $20,000 discount. That's if you factor in its generous $10,000 rebate, the $7,500 federal tax credit, and California's $2,500 discount for EVs. It's not the first time we've seen utility companies work with automakers to slash costs of buying a new electric car, but this is most certainly one of the biggest discounts I've seen in a very long time. California-based Cruise Automation, which was acquired by General Motors earlier this year, quietly launched its own ride-sharing service this week, offering participants in its beta program the chance to book a self-driving Chevrolet Bolt EV in the same way that you'd book an Uber or a Lyft. The catch? It's a beta program only available right now to Cruise Automation staff, and there has to be someone behind the wheel to keep an eye on the car. But, like the autonomous vehicle program being trialled by Uber in Pittsburgh, it shows that the days of autonomous taxi services are literally just around the corner. And having seen these Ubers in operation in Pittsburgh, and confirming that they do indeed stop for giant fluffy animals, I can't wait to see these Cruise Bolt EVs match up. It might have given up on plans to build a $1 billion factory just north of Las Vegas, but Chinese-backed electric car startup Faraday Future announced this week that it's taken up a lease on a manufacturing facility in Hanford, California, where it hopes to build its FF91 electric car. The facility, midway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, is, says Faraday Future, strategically located, but given some of the financial woes the company has suffered of late, it's probably more accurate to say it's the best fit for the company in terms of size, rent and taxes. FF says it will bring the FF91 to market by the end of next year, but I remain to be convinced. Let's hope I'm wrong. As Tesla's biggest energy storage contract to date, the massive 129 megawatt-hour grid-tied storage system it's supplying to South Australia is certainly a make-or-break project for Tesla, especially since Tesla CEO Elon Musk promised that it would be free if the entire power pack isn't supplied within 100 days of inking the necessary contracts. But while it will be Tesla-branded, we learned this week that the sheer number of lithium-ion cells Tesla's getting through right now means that this particular power pack project will be filled with Samsung SDI cells rather than Tesla or Panasonic cells. It not only illustrates just how many lithium-ion cells Tesla is using right now, but it shows how demand will just keep ramping up. And in associated news, Tesla's battery partner Panasonic said this week that it predicts those new 2170 cells it's making for the Model 3 at the Gigafactory will reach profitability by next year, which is not bad considering the amount of money it's invested in Tesla's facility and the very short period of time since the factory launched. In short, there's money in them there cells. With electric vehicles well and truly here to stay, we're seeing some new companies coming out of the woodwork, promising to revolutionise their little corner of the market, and this week was no exception. That's because startup Change, spelled with a J rather than a G, exited stealth mode with a video advertising its V8070 panel van, complete with a 70 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a cabin that reminds me a little bit of the Volvo XC90. The company claims the van will travel about 70 miles, 113 kilometres, per charge when fully laden. That may not seem like much, but it's well within the average daily duty cycle of a delivery truck in a busy city, and with a payload of 6,000 pounds, 2.7 metric tonnes, it should be able to compete with most routes. Price is yet to be announced, but stay tuned for more info as I have it. Sticking with cargo a little longer, we learned this week that Tesla is in the process of discussions with both the states of California and Nevada concerning real-world tests of its semi-autonomous Tesla truck. According to Reuters, which broke the story midweek, Tesla is close to putting test trucks on the road and has designed a system that allows platooning of trucks, allowing massive truck trains to autonomously cross the country with cargo on board. We'll see the Tesla Semi for the first time next month, says Tesla, so I'm sure we'll learn more about the technology it has in mind at that point. Not to be outdone on the autonomous vehicle front, though, Tesla's former autopilot hardware provider Mobileye, which was recently acquired by Intel for $15 billion, will be helping Intel put a total of 100 Level 4 autonomous cars on the road, with the first batch of cars due to enter testing by the end of this year. For those who don't know, Level 4 is the next step up from the kind of Level 3 operation we're seeing in Tesla's Model S, Model X and Model 3. It isn't the full hands-off automation we'll see with Level 5, when humans won't even need to be in the car, but it's pretty close. And given I live just down the road from one of Intel's many offices in this area, I'm going to go and see if I can get a ride. Watch this space. 2 weeks ago in New York, a new electric car startup called Bollinger exited stealth and shared the B1 SUV with the world. Practical, rugged, and perhaps a little basic, the B1 reminds me a little of an all-electric Land Rover Defender, complete with all-wheel drive capabilities and a choice of 60 kilowatt-hour or 100 kilowatt-hour battery packs. As a car, some people may find it lacking, but as a work truck, it's just what the doctor ordered and, says Bollinger, has already got 6,000 people expressing an interest in buying one. Admittedly, its online reservation system hasn't opened yet, and hand raisers don't necessarily mean sales, but it's a good show that there's a demand for this kind of vehicle in a world where you'd be forgiven for thinking Tesla is the only choice. The average temperature in the United States has risen dramatically since 1980, and predictions for the effects of human-caused climate change are woefully underestimated. That's the opinion of a new joint climate change study completed earlier this year by scientists from 13 different US federal agencies and leaked online in its draft form out of fear that President Trump would dismiss its findings as nonsense, or worse still, bury its message. One of the most comprehensive reports to date and produced with data from tens of thousands of scientists from around the world, the report warns that even if the planet stopped emitting greenhouse gases today, the effects of what we've done to the planet thus far would cause a 0.5 degree Fahrenheit, 1/3 degree Celsius, increase in temperature over the next 100 years. Since that's not possible, the rise is likely to be nearer 6 or 7 times that. The EPA, one of several federal agencies involved in this report, has until the end of next week to approve the report before it can be officially published. But given the current administration's track record, well, I'm going to leave you to draw your own conclusions. And finally, as I covered last week in the show, Mercedes-Benz has now officially ended production of the B-Class electric drive, leaving the brand with no electric cars for now, unless we count the various smart EDs, which are technically a separate brand. Anyway, as I explained last week, the production end was no surprise, especially given Benz's plans to bring a new slew of electric models to market under its brand new EQ brand. Well, this week, someone at Mercedes decided to take to Twitter to ask fans if they'd like an electric Benz or not, something which instantly resulted in hundreds upon hundreds of replies, many of them from EV fans or owners stating that they were already plugging in. Thank you very much. Of course, the most amusing ones? Tesla owners keen to show Benz they'd lost out on some custom for not offering a high-performance EV sooner. Oh, Mercedes, how could you? And on that note, it's time for me to say goodbye for the week. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss out on the next episode. And if you like what I'm doing, why not contribute to the show's costs via Patreon? I've left a link in the end of this video and in the description below. As always, I'll be back next week with more cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation news. But until then, thanks for joining me. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. That was 10. Have a great weekend. And until next time, keep evolving.